I'm here with Josh Silveira, PFL light heavyweight, fighting Delan Monte at PFL 4, June 8th. How's it feeling going into this one, Josh?
Feels great, man. Camp's going well. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to call it camp. Yeah, it's like a camp every 2 months. The season's going well, I guess. Um, just yeah, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be healthy. Happy to have 6 points.
You touched on something I wanted to bring up, and that's, this is a very quick turnaround, and that's how the season is built. I mean, how much does that change your preparation?
With all the changes and all that stuff that's happened.
And just the quick turnaround, the way the season's structured, where you go from April to June, you're fighting again already, whereas,
Oh,
outside the league, you'd maybe have 4 or 5 months between fights.
yeah, man. So I think it could be a blessing or it could be a nightmare depending on the situation, right? Because there's some fighters that have a hard time finding fights, right? All they want to do is get a fight, and here at the PFL we're cranking them out. You could fight 2 to 4 times in a year. So I enjoy it. I came from a competitive background. I wrestled and I've done jiu-jitsu, but I wrestled in college, so I'm used to wrestling every weekend, man, and making weight every weekend. So the little 2 months in between is even, it's a little, it hits the spot perfect. You know what I mean? Where I get some rest time and then I go get a win. And a win, man, and especially nowadays in MMA, it could push your career in a very good direction, man. Especially with a company like PFL or any of these other big shows. One win does make a huge difference.
Well, one win made a huge difference for you earlier this year. You got the 6 points for a finish, and finishes, because of the point system, matter so much more in the PFL. Just what were your thoughts on that opening round performance?
So, man, it was a long time coming, man, because the fight before that, I suffered my first loss. So, I don't care who you are or how tough you are or how long you've done this. A loss is a loss. It hurts, man. It sinks deep. So, that fight was a lot more than just the 6 points. It's a little personal for me to get on the win column again. So, it just, you know everything went well all the way around. I needed the win. I needed the 6 points, get me back on the win column, boost my confidence up, start a good foot on the season. And yeah, man, I think everything is going just as planned.
You mentioned the loss to Omari Akhmedov last year. I mean, was that just a matter of he was the better man that night, or is there anything you would have done differently, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, man. Omari, he's my teammate. We trained a lot too. I think that played a big factor. Um, as much as I told myself that I was gonna go fight hard and go beat up my teammate, I think, these little factors, they all play in the heat of the moment. And another big thing about me is this year, man, I'm not scared to get tired. And I think last year I was dealing with some injuries, and I think my confidence was a little lower because my gas tank wasn't as where I would like it to be. So when I'm fighting, like I'm not scared to get tired. That's when I'm the most dangerous. That's when I'm, um, thinking the best, making the better decisions. IQ level is through the roof. So when I'm fighting like that, I find it very hard for anybody to deal with me. But yeah, there's some huge, big differences from last year to this year for sure. Way more mature. Um, the opportunity is a lot more. Um, I guess the best word to say, the opportunity is a lot more alive not right now than versus last year. Last year I think I was just happy to be part of the show. I think this year I'm really trying to take over. And I think that just comes with maturity. I think that comes with the loss. Whether you lose in the gym or you lose in front of a bunch of people in Madison Square Garden. So, well, we weren't at the Garden, excuse me, at the Hulu Theater in the Garden, but still, that was just good experience, but bittersweet, and I moved on from it, and I'm a fight away to put myself in the same position I was in last year. So here we are.
Well, looking forward to things moving forward. I'll ask you one more about that. You mentioned, made of being your teammate. Of course, you're training an American Top Team, such a huge facility. I mean, do you kind of have a process in place when it comes to fighting teammates where, you get to go to the gym some days, he goes another? Is there anything like that sort of in terms of coaches and training partners?
No, not for fighters, I mean, we try to, or we definitely don't train with each other. That's just like a big obvious one. Just, we want to keep it the most professional that we can. But I think the coaches have the most hard time dealing with it because they train with a bunch of the guys. They're the ones who get really heartbroken about it because we have a CIC. It's a coach in charge, and we always give a coach for a fighter, whether it's my father, Conan Severa, he'll be in charge of a fighter, or Mike Brown, or Pahumpa, he's the jiu-jitsu coach, or Thiago Alves will be another coach, and so there's all these coaches in charge of these fighters, and they're the ones who get it the worst, that they almost have to prep their guy to go beat the other coach's guy. And sometimes when the coach is friends with both of the fighters, very, very, like very, very close to both of the fighters, they will end up not coaching. Neither one of them. My father, that's happened to my father before many times, where I'm not gonna do, go get a boxing coach, because we have so many different coaches too, several different boxing coaches, kickboxing coaches. So at the end of the day, they all have to keep working, doing their job. So they still have to teach these guys, but it's hard on the coaches, man. Coming from a gym with a bunch of fighters, great fighters that are well prepared to fight, on call, and sometimes we have to fight each other because we just have the best gym in the world. That's just American Top Team.
And that's the job, of course. You mentioned your dad there. What was it like coming up with your dad being a coach there, and did that add pressure to you when you were starting out in the sport?
Um, Man, I get that question a lot, and it's a yes and no um answer for me. I think fairly maybe in the beginning, and when I mean beginning, I want to say like when I first started doing jujitsu and I was a kid, and wrestling, when I was 10, 11 years old, I would feel some pressure because my dad's the pioneer legend. But once I started wrestling in high school and then college, and I won a state title and I won a national title in high school, I started achieving things when I was a teenager, some things that my dad was never he never had the opportunity to wrestle in America or anything like that. But I was achieving things that none of my family has ever done. So I was gaining these little confident boosts, throughout my teenage years, and then I wrestled in college, and then I went to Arizona State. So by the time I did MMA, I felt like the pressure was still there, but it doesn't bother me at all. If anything, my dad is having an amazing experience. Um, if you really look at a different perspective, my father's experience is probably, he was doing this barely getting paid, fighting 3 times in a night. He probably never thought that he would have a kid, be in this moment, fighting for $1 million. It's a great experience to be going through this with him. But I could just imagine how he feels. He probably feels on cloud nine. Um, just just knowing how life played out, and the journey that was presented to us.
Well, there's no doubt he's very proud, and no doubt that's an incredible source of information to have and a great sounding board to have with his experience as well. Coming into this fight, Delan Monte, I mean, like yourself, he joined the PFL last year. What have you seen from him? What are your thoughts on him as an opponent?
Man, I like Dylan, man, and Dylan, he's a cool guy. Me and him we're pretty close acquaintance, I would say. We're friends. We've trained together, and when I was an amateur back in Arizona after I graduated, and he was like 2-0, 3-0. He came from Brazil to help out Ryan Bader and train a little bit. We were training under a coach from Brazil that Bader flew in, so it's just kind of crazy how I'm fighting him now when I was training with him when I was maybe like 21, 22 years old. This is 7 years later, 8 years later. I don't know how long ago it was, but not that I'm judging him from the past or anything. I barely even remember how the sparrings went, but you know I've seen how he fights now, and I just know myself. I know my team. I know my gym. I'm just a tough fight for anyone. And I think at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to IQ. And I think I'm just gonna make better choices. Especially he has 0 points, so I'm expecting for him to come out pretty heavy in the first round. Um, but yeah, man, this is a fight. It's MMA, so I'm ready for anything. And I think it's just gonna come down to better gas tank, better decision making, and just capturing the moment when it's time to finish.
Well, you definitely are a tough fight for anyone. I think you proved that, starting your career on that unbeaten run, claiming the two LFA titles. I know PFL doesn't have a middleweight division, but if it had, would that have been a consideration, or was light heavyweight the eventual destination either way?
No, for sure, Matt. Middleweight is definitely on my mind. I feel like I could be a beast there. I would just have to get my dieting, in check. I've made middleweight before. I don't do it all the time, so I would definitely have to create a lifestyle suitable for that. I've created a lifestyle suitable for the for light heavyweight. I know I'm fairly on the smaller end, but I keep my weight um, fairly small, so I'm a little bit more agile than these guys and a little bit more faster. That's my approach. Usually these guys have some more power, but I would definitely consider going to middleweight. That'd be something cool. I would consider being double champ in PFL if that was an opportunity. Always thinking about doing repeating some things I've done in the past. And that would be definitely a cool thing to accomplish. I would probably be the first person to do that in the PFL. So I would definitely move to middleweight, and I'm capable of doing it. If they just open up the division, why not?
Well, it would be very cool. No one's done it yet. Larissa Pacheco is trying this year at featherweight after the 155-pound title last year,
Oh
but
yeah, you're right. You're right.
would be
That's a different weight class.
yeah, but would be very cool, and you'd be the first to do it on the guys side, no matter what happens with Larissa. Gonna ask you one more before I let you go. Just talk to me about your thoughts on the PFL and where they are right now, because we've seen some huge moves this year. We saw the Jake Paul signing, the Francis Ngannou signing, Cedric Doumbé has come in, former Glory champ. Just what are your thoughts about where the league is headed?
Yeah, so PFL, I felt like I made a great decision coming over here. Nothing against any other organization, but I'm a big fan of building with someone versus just jumping in on board and being part of something that's already great. I felt like the PFL, they have a lot of I don't know if it's investors or a lot of people that are really running the show, or I'm not sure exactly how things go, but they're really making an effort, right, to be a competitive organization, man. Being on ESPN, Francis, um, they're showing that they're here to stay. That's the feeling that I get. Um, and I'm just happy to be riding the wave, man. I was on the boat before the waves were rocking a long time ago. I mean, there's other guys who've been here since the beginning of it, but I'm just happy that I signed with them. I'm happy that I could call them my home. And I'm making my career out of it. Especially growing up with MMA around me, I never went crazy about UFC or Bellator. I've always thought to myself, and my dad's plays a big part of this role to keep me level headed. When it's time to make a big decision to go to an organization, make sure you go to somewhere that they want to take care of you and essentially, take care of you financially so you could take care of what you need to do. And that's what I get from the PFL. That's the feeling that they give me. And I'm just excited, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with all this crazy news, but it's gonna have to develop into something, you know. So only time will tell, and me winning a PFL title will just put me right where I need to be. So just one step at a time, and yeah, man, I'm just super blessed, man, to be a part of a great organization.
Well, exciting times indeed. Excited for your fight June 8th. Best of luck, Josh. Thanks again for the time today.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
You too, bro. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye bye.